Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the Schmoes Know, you are now a member of the Jedi Alliance. May the Force be with you, always.
Hello there, and welcome to Jedi Alliance, a celebration of the greatest saga ever told, and soon there will be even more saga to celebrate. Today, we are having a very special episode. We have our Mind Probe segment where we take questions from you guys in the audience. You always give us great questions. You give us deep, thoughtful questions. You give us weird questions, and we like both of those. So we decided to do a special all Mind Probe episode, so we are going to be talking lots and lots of weird and thoughtful questions from out there. I am one of your hosts. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw. Your other host is, of course,
right here, the internet's Mark Donica. We have some wonderful, wonderful guests here. We have Mr. Mike Black.
Hi, everyone.
And Miss Audrey Kearns.
Hello.
Some of our very favorite guests, and great at answering both thoughtful and weird questions. So you're
And returns the
perfectly...
sticker shirt from Mike Black, which I'm always a fan of.
I love it.
Yeah, so if you're listening on iTunes, Mike has taken to making his own Star Wars shirts by putting stickers on black shirts.
I love it.
Previously, it was just a lot of Star Wars heads, I believe, and now we have a narrative of 3PO scolding R2 for something.
And I used to be using dollar store stickers, but they were too small to read. And I picked up a book. It was like Ultimate Sticker Book for Star Wars, $12. Cheaper than any Star Wars shirt. Now I have unlimited Star Wars shirts.
Unlimited t-shirts. And if you are just watching Jedi Alliance for the first time for some strange reason, Mike Black is, of course, a comedian. He's a regular at the Comedy Store and a huge action figure aficionado.
True, all of it.
And Audrey Kearns, you normally are amazing at rattling off all your accomplishments, but I'm going to try to see if I can rattle off a couple of yours. You are the executive chief head editor person human of Geek Girl Authority. Is that your official title?
Yes.
Did I nail it?
You did. You
Excellent.
got it right in a row.
And you also host many podcasts, including Kneel Before Odd and Five Truths and a Lie, an excellent storytelling podcast.
Thank you.
Is that good? Is
that's good.
A representative summary?
I think you got it.
Yeah. Is there anything I left out that you want to include?
I think you're good.
Okay. You're also one of my favorite guests because you bring an inhaler, and I feel like as old school geeks, we should always carry inhalers.
Yeah. Only had to use it once out of, I think, 5 times. I think. Only once.
Yeah, only once.
Record.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
There
It's
should
very,
be at
very
least
good.
one in the group. You know,
Always,
there's a
just
gathering.
Legitimize it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have this wonderful Jack Porkins for anybody who's listening instead of watching statue which you brought.
Yes, my husband reluctantly let me bring it in. I wrapped it carefully as if I was swaddling the baby Jesus.
The baby Jack Porkins.
The baby Jack Porkins, and he's awesome. It looks great.
And
really is.
it's a bus. So, if you're listening, just imagine Jack Porkins sort of popping out of a portal
Yes, it does
in the
look like
universe
that.
And
with
kind of
his
stuck in it.
blaster up, ready to go. It's a very exciting
And like you said,
portrayal of
Joseph,
Jack
he's
Porkins.
got his little pinky out as if he's about to have a cocktail or something.
He's very delicate,
Yeah.
yeah. He's going to shoot you, but he's going to be delicate and respectful and gentlemanly about it.
I like to imagine that on his home system of bacon or what have you, there's a gigantic
The bacon
gold
system?
version of this.
The
hero of the rebellion.
Bacon.
Yes.
The bacon system. Bacon's not a system, it's a food. So we have a lot to get to. We're going to have a shorter show because we have some scheduling issues. But first, before we get into stuff, we have some announcements. Now, these announcements are good or bad, depending on your point of view.
Don't talk about it to the commenters directly.
Like everything in Star Wars, it depends on your point of view. I have had a wonderful time being a co-host of Jedi Alliance, but sadly for me, it is time to move on. I've got a lot of things going on in my life. I wear a lot of different hats as a creative person. I do a lot of stand-up, I do a lot of touring, I do a lot of writing. I've got a couple of projects coming up that I can't really talk about, but they make it really difficult to keep doing Jedi Alliance. It's a ton of work, and there's a part of me is like, maybe I can just kind of half-ass it and keep doing Jedi Alliance because it's so much fun. But I think that it should be done right if it's going to be done at all. So sadly, I am not going to be a co-host anymore. I expect that I will be popping up as a guest. So as a host, I'm going to kind of disappear into the Force, and then I will return as a Force guest.
You're going to be the most apparated Force ghost that we could possibly.
I hope so. Yeah, it's like ObiWan would just never stop talking to you.
No, yeah,
that's what I'm going to be like.
We will have a log for you to sit on anytime you wish to tell us about our sisters.
And Yeah, so I'm very, very happy to be coming back as a guest. I've had such a wonderful time. It's been wonderful to work with Mark.
Absolutely
and
wonderful.
all of the listeners and the watchers out there. You have been incredibly supportive, especially as we took over from Ken. You gave us a chance, and I want everybody to keep giving Jedi Alliance a chance. If you're unsure about this, I know change can be difficult. If you're unsure about this, keep watching. And if you like to hear me talk about Star Wars, you're still in luck because the other former host of Jedi Alliance, Ken Knapsack, and I actually have a Star Wars podcast feed called Force Center, which is not as work intensive as Jedi Alliance right now. So Ken and I can keep doing Force Center. So if you're interested in hearing me continue to talk about Star Wars, just Google Force Center podcast and we'll pop right up. But that's only one part of our announcement. Mark has the other part of our announcement.
The second part of the announcement for all of you members of the Alliance, as much as I would like to think that I could do this on my own, I haven't been able to. Joseph's been an amazing, amazing pylon. We're going to have a new co-host. Mr. John Roca is going to be joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at @TheRocaSays. Let him know that you're excited about him showing up. If you're not excited about him showing up, just keep that to yourself. But next week, he's going to be joining us, and it's going to be a hell of a time, a hell of a change, and we hope you stick around for this ride.
Yeah, so it is a fun thing to try to make sure that we have like nice smooth transition. This will be my last show kind of as a host, but then next week when John and Mark are co-piloting Jedi Alliance, I'm going to come on and be here too.
And berate us.
And
for-
judge them. You're going to judge them
no.
so hard.
I'm only going to judge them maybe a tiny bit inside.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm from Minnesota where everyone is a little bit passive aggressive.
It's quite a judgment.
So I mean, I'm always judging everything, mostly myself.
So
yes,
you'll bake
of
them
course.
a pie first.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm gonna bake a pie and then beat myself up for doing a bad job at it. I could have made a better pie. There should have been bacon in it.
You're going to offer it and then pie yourself.
Yeah, I'll pie myself. Off camera. So thank you guys for listening and hopefully for transitioning with us. I'll be back next week and then I will disappear into the Force.
But you'll be back. You're not dying.
I know,
Goodness.
but I also like to be melodramatic.
Fair play. But from that, why don't we go straight into news from the HoloNet? This past week, while on the red carpet for 10 Cloverfield Lane, J.J. Abrams was talking to Slash Film, and they were asking him about the ending of Force Awakens, why Rey and Leia hugged, and Chewie just kind of walked by and nobody ever gave a toss. So what he said was he thought more of Chewie taking care of Finn, making sure that Finn was all right, and was just kind of like, I can't deal with this right now. We got a hurt guy. Does that explanation work for you, or are you just going to stick with what you had in your head?
Now, I never had a big problem with this scene because I think you can kind of see that intention because Chewie's so following after Finn. Now, I think it would be great if Abrams was ever going to do a special edition of Force Awakens that he puts in like a little insert shot of just like a nod or a knowing look between Leia and Chewie, because I love the Leia and Rey hug. I love that you can kind of interpret what it means for now and guess at it, but I agree that the lack of hugging for Chewie seems like he got screwed again. First she didn't give him the medal, and now she didn't give him the hug.
Yeah, I agree with you where it didn't bother me much when because I really enjoyed the Rey and Leia hug. I think it meant in my head I made it mean a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I do agree that even if it was. I see what Abrams was saying. If it was Beather Block's scene where maybe you see Chewie like ushering them along with Finn or carrying Finn out, that maybe some people have gotten a little more. But even just a one like Leia, just going like this, or them just
Like touching his arm as he was walking by.
as he's walking by, or just eye contact. Like we both just lost something. We'll get to that. We'll mourn.
Yeah,
soon.
we'll do shots later.
Yeah. And I think the way Abrams said it too, it also would have brought a little full circle about how Finn helped Chewie earlier when he was hurt.
Yeah.
And now Chewie's making sure Finn's okay this time around.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's kind of Monday morning quarterback stuff, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like to me, also Chewie's 1,000 years old.
He's pretty old.
He gets to things whenever he wants to get to them.
Couple hundred years old. Yeah.
And I think he's more about what needs to be done in the present. I've always thought of him that way, and I think at that moment it was taking care of Finn, and so to me it didn't really even register.
It'd be cool if
until I
that
started
popped a little
reading
bit more, because even when in Cloud City, when Chewie's upset, he's fixing 3PO. He's focusing on something. So that's a good point.
He'd make a great life coach. Living in the present.
One thing at a time.
Just a little bit of denial is good, says Chewbacca.
Just imagine him in a suit with his arms crossed on the side of a building. Worked for me. It worked for you too. Also announced this past week, The Force Awakens has received 11 MTV Movie Awards. These include Best Movie, Best Female Performance by Daisy Ridley, Best Villain, Kylo Ren, Breakthrough Performance by both Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, Best Action Performance by John Boyega, Best Hero, Daisy Ridley,
Nice.
Best Virtual Performance by both Andy Serkis and Lupita Nyong'o, Best Ensemble, and Best Fight between Rey and Kylo. MTV's not to discredit them. They give out golden popcorn. Do you think that winning these awards would compare to the Oscars in any way, considering they're a little bit more plugged into culture, as opposed to, well, I thought this film was delightful?
Yeah, I think if they sweep, that's great, because I think it's a sign that Force Awakens is really successfully connecting with the younger generation and building the Star Wars army even larger. So I think it'd be great, and I love the Oscars, but I think especially like this year, it's cool to see something like the MTV Movie Awards. Is like, but here are the movies that people went to and really liked.
Like Deadpool's nominated for stuff.
Yeah, and that's what they do have, is it's definitely a pop culture movie awards.
Yeah.
And I actually think Deadpool's going to sweep. I got to be honest, I do. I hope I think Force Awakens. I think Adam Driver is a big chance of Best Villain, just because younger people love Adam Driver and his hair.
Yeah, certainly best hair.
Best newcomer between Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. I'd like to see one of those, and Maz Kanata, Lupita Nyong'o. I'd like to see that for the virtual performance. But there's a lot of other stuff I think other movies are going to sweep.
I am all for the MTV Movie Awards, because it really is the award show for me. Like, I like film quite a bit, but I really like movies.
Yeah.
And the MTV Movie Awards gave Pulp Fiction Best Picture the year that Forrest Gump won. They gave Chewbacca a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
And didn't they give him a medal too?
So they're going to give him a hug this year.
So I'm all for it, and I'm stoked that they're getting that many nominations.
I'm super excited. If I could pick one award, I want Best Hero for Daisy Ridley.
And I think that's a good chance. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or Charlize Theron. I think it's between the two. I gotta say.
I think
it's
Furiosa.
Yeah. Well, that's why, and it's like what you were saying. That's what makes it so fun, because it is more tapped into what people are actually watching, what gives us joy.
Yeah.
And, it's like I watch the Oscars. And I have no idea what they're talking about.
That's such an interesting way to put it.
I think
gives us joy.
It actually gives us joy. But also just talking about the characters, a lot of the Oscar movies are like issue or idea based.
Yeah.
So you walk away thinking about this big idea, in genre and franchise stuff. Connects us to characters.
That's true.
That we can then look up to and walk through life with us, or punch through life
and
with
really
us.
grand themes that you can plug into anywhere in your life.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And I haven't watched the MTV Movie Awards in a while, but this would probably be been a great year for fun movies.
Yeah.
Probably a great year to watch too. Hopefully Star Wars pulls through. And finally, I'm going to just preface this is totally rumor. 100% rumor. It was reported by The Sun. Can't take that. Total rumor. But
rumor butts.
J.J. Abrams supposedly revealed that there's planning underway for 10 Star Wars films after The Force Awakens. So after the current slate, that means 6 new films, an additional possibly 3 saga films, 3 anthology films. So what do you want these movies to be? Do you want them to? What would you want these movies to be? Excuse me. Episodic films, like are we going to see more from our new stars, or single character Marvel style backstories of some of our favorite characters?
I think balance. I'll always go back to back. I mean, look at with the Marvel films, even upcoming Captain America. That's it's an Avengers movie basically. But then you do have like the Thor movies where you go to Asgard and see what makes Thor. So I mean, I like the balance, and have you guys ever read Ender's Game? There's this book called Ender's Game, and they made a movie out of it. And there's his right-hand person is this kid named Bean. So you have the Ender's Game series, which is 4 books. And then all of a sudden the writer goes and writes more books about this side character named Bean, which is how I look at Rogue One. It's absolutely fascinating. It's in the world that you know. And that's, so I think balance. I don't mind continuing the story, but I don't want them to be throwing stories at you just because they can put it through, they can write it real quick.
Right.
And, it's easy.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do anything too quick. What do you think, Mike Black?
Yeah, I think if you have compelling stories to tell, like, I think back to the old Marvel stuff where if you were just reading S.H.I.E.L.D., like Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you were missing a lot, but you would see Tony Stark there, and he's like, I've got new weapons for you. And that's all you thought he did. But then if you read Iron Man, it's like, oh, this guy's got a whole great life.
He's an alcoholic.
Cool. There's so much more. No wonder he's stealing cocktail napkins and stuff all the time. But it's now it all makes sense.
Yeah, I have come around to thinking that it would be good if they managed to make something like Han Solo into its own little series. So, because I understand that they are a company, they want to put out movies, we want to see Star Wars movies, but I don't want to just see 8 million origin stories or 8 million just one-offs, as much as, like, I would like to see a Yoda movie. I don't want it to be all just kind of solo shots. I'd rather see a solo franchise.
So it would be straight up like the opposite of what Marvel did, where they built to the Avengers. We already have these established saga films, but now we're going to go in and make our own series out of individual characters, sort of a thing.
Kind of branch off.
Yeah, I kind of feel like why not? And I think maybe that's an idea of a possibility with a Han Solo movie if they start it with enough room to keep giving him adventures. Another really interesting thing I saw this weekend along these lines is Pablo Hidalgo, which I keep saying on the show you should follow on Twitter because he's hilarious, and then every once in a while he just drops a Star Wars truth bomb. And he talked about how all of the current ideas, with the exception of Rogue One, that are in play are still ideas that George Lucas handed to them with the sale.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
And that's straight from the guy in charge of canon, the story group. So maybe that, I took that as maybe they're not sort of speculating as wildly. Maybe they just have a bunch of ideas from Lucas, and they're really slowly behind the scenes without announcing anything working on. Like, does Yoda have a movie? Should ObiWan have his whole series of movies?
Yes.
I think it's
of course, yes. Of course, the answer is yes.
I mean, it's a very long conversation, but yes, 100%.
That's a rhetorical question. Of course, you should.
Well, why don't you let us know what sort of movies, what sort of series you want to see in the comments down below, or in our iTunes comments. Please rate us 5 stars, give us a thumbs up. But we go from here to our Mind Probe Extravaganza.
That's right. We are going to dig deep. The Mind Probe's going to come at us armed with a syringe and maybe some scissors on the side because they were just making a weird thing in the mid-'70s and they had no idea that eventually it would be an image used constantly on a Star Wars podcast. So we're going to start ridiculous, and then we'll get a little bit more serious, and then back to ridiculous. We start with a question from Chris Marie. What character would win a hot dog eating contest besides Jabba? Thanks for excluding Jabba. Thanks for excluding the obvious.
Not all of the obvious have been excluded.
You mean Porkin, the man from Bacon? Yeah.
That's how he got his pilot seat, is he won a hot dog eating contest, and it was for a chance into the Academy.
Did you say our man in Bacon?
Our man from Bacon. Porkins, the man from Bacon.
Uncle,
yeah.
Man from Bacon.
So, Audrey, we'll start with you. Which character would you pick?
Super simple. With the way my brain works, I had to decide. I had to make what the structure is. The structure is it has to be humanoid and sentient.
Okay.
Is what I decided. So
now there's rules.
No, only Audrey rolls.
I think it's good that it's sentient, because otherwise it's just cruel.
Really exclusive hot dog eating contest.
No, just dumping a bunch of them into the Sarlacc pit. No,
took my answer.
I was just going to say Chewie. I think Chewie would kill.
Yeah,
I think Chewie, I mean, it's like he said earlier, he's 1,000 years old. That guy can do anything. All he has to do is open his mouth.
I thought you were saying he would literally kill. Like, he would start to rip apart the other people and take their hot dogs.
No, I'm not doing it again. I got halfway through the gesture and I was like, do you realize what you're doing, Audrey?
The internet.
You're making a gif. Yeah, Chewie, a couple hundred years old. He's had a lot of hot dogs. He's got a lot of experience, right?
Yeah, and like Mike just said, and then he could kill the competition if he wanted to.
Yeah. Mark, who would you pick?
I want to put that in his Wikipedia thing. He's lived a long life. He's eaten a lot of hot dogs. Or like on the back of his Black Series finger. I mean, if aside from humanoid rules, the Sarlacc pit is clearly you just dump them in.
Yeah.
But there's no contest there.
Well, I think it's
There
cruel
is still a
if you're
contest out there.
yeah.
If you're counting digestion.
If you're going with original cut, where it is just kind of a hole in the sand, I think that's not cruel. That's cruel to just dump hot dogs in it because it doesn't have a choice. Now, if you go with special edition,
It did not agree.
it
to
didn't
the
agree
contest.
to just having hot dogs thrown at it.
I don't know that it agreed to having Boba Fett thrown at it either. But
Fair enough.
or Wilhelm for that
So I
matter.
guess what we're just saying is morally it is better in the special edition when it has a mouth and can make a choice.
yes.
I think we just made an activist group.
I did. Yeah. Oh, that went
I think
places.
maybe the asteroid monster could launch hot dogs into space.
The
That
space
would be-
slug, yeah.
Space Slug, totally.
Yeah. Now, the space slug didn't choose to... Anyway.
No, they're more. They like Chinese.
They
a little
don't
bit
get
more.
choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chewie has the showmanship. It would be fun to watch. They don't have the
Well, no,
showmanship.
he'll finish his plate and then he'll give us one of these.
Exactly.
And everybody will just let the Wookiee win. It's
Okay,
hard.
so what was your answer, Mike?
Oh, I didn't really give my answer.
Go ahead.
I think secretly the person I feel like could do it is Prune Face.
Oh, Ori Marco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm positive.
Just because he
Prune
looks
Face.
a little bit like a hot dog?
I think it's partially cheating because
Self-hating hot dog.
other contestants would eventually get grossed out watching him eat hot dogs, and so they would forfeit.
Fair enough. He does have an eye patch. Maybe that's how he lost the eye in
Yeah,
a hot dog eating contest. My choice is way out of the box. I'm going to go with Yoda. Because I think Yoda is very, very powerful. This goes along with, like, don't judge me by my size. You have no idea how many hot dogs I can gum down.
Well, I didn't want to pick any Jedi because they could all just like under the table go stop eating, and then they just eat one and then they win.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, that would fall in the rules of the contest. Is that you can't use.
800 hot dogs I ate.
Chris Marie, you should have put some rules down with this, and maybe we'll have an entire for 4th of July. We'll have a hot dog eating contest with key characters. Oh goodness.
So we're going to move on to Matt Blundell. Matt Blundell says, do you think we'll see Alderaan in Rogue One? It would be a big missed opportunity if we don't, since the Organas are an essential part of the rebellion. It would make it more emotional when you see Alderaan blown to pieces in A New Hope. Audrey, what do you think?
I think Matt's right. I think that's a very good question. I can't see it being a big part of the movie, but I can see it part of, where some of the major plotting and planning and missions being sent out could be. And I think it would be a great emotional trigger for the audience, because as an audience member, there's going to be something like right in your chest, a bubble in your chest, because they're doomed. I think it would be a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I think, and the cooler they make the people of Alderaan, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, it would be really fun to see them, because it was made canon in the Clone Wars that the fashion of Alderaan is people from the 70s. Like, they all have mutton
nice.
chops and weird beards and everything. So it'd be great to just see in the middle of Rogue One, here is Planet of the 70s. It's canon.
70s planet.
That makes the Empire a lot more evil if they obliterated the 70s.
They killed disco.
Yeah.
with
With a
disco
gigantic
bell.
disco ball.
Yeah.
So ironic.
Mark, are you on the same page?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think it would be wise to show Alderaan. I don't know. I mean, if we're going to be going off of all previously established the continuity, Alderaan's a shoo-in.
Yeah. We haven't heard any rumblings of Jimmy Smits being cast.
No,
as
I would love to see
Bail,
Bail Organa back.
And that would be great. If you're going
That
to blow
would
up
be neat.
Alderaan, or not blow it up, but if you're going to get us attached to it, I think you should have Jimmy
Blow
back.
it up or not, but we need
Yeah.
Jimmy Smits back.
Yeah, we need Jimmy Smits back
And
before
he'd be-
the
anything
linchpin of
happens.
this franchise.
And he'd be at the right age now, for having
yeah.
raised a daughter and everything.
Yeah, because time moves ceaselessly forward. And it has been
Imagine
over
that.
a decade since
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, which is not okay, listeners. It is not. We move on to another Rogue One question. Annabelle Zavala Plana said, will Rogue One be in the top 5 highest grossing movies of the year, domestic and internationally? Which I thought is a fascinating question. What do you think, Mark?
Is she running the studio? Is that what she's asking?
Please, guys.
Do you think is there a chance?
Please,
I think it'll be
Please
top.
tell me.
I think it'll be top 5 domestically, but I think it'll be a low 5. While it is Star Wars and people are looking for any sort of Star Wars that they want, you've got Batman Superman coming out this year. You've got Civil War, which keeps just building
Rocking.
and building
Yeah.
and building. And Deadpool
true.
was a runaway success, and I
Yeah.
figure they'll try to keep that in theaters as much as possible, maybe even bring it back. Who knows? But I don't think it'll be top. I think it'll be in between 3 to 5.
Okay.
That's still a lot of money, though.
Oh, yeah. What do you think, Audrey?
I think there's a chance. I'm with Mark on this one. I think there's a very good chance for it to make the top 5. I mean, it's a standalone movie. There's not all the hype behind it like Episode 7, but I think people are still going to be excited enough. And anyone who's seen A New Hope, which is most of us, will
and that's the world.
That's the world. Exactly. We'll get this movie. You won't have to have watched all the other movies. So even if you're like, what am I going to see tonight? You're going to go see Rogue One because you get that the Death Star blew up and you get that there's these people, trying to get the plans for the Death Star and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I do think that it's chance, as Mark said, I don't think it's going to be like number 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
But I think it can make 5.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I think if it makes 5, it'll be just barely, because there's a lot of people out there that are like, didn't we just Star Wars like a minute ago? And so, but I think it'll do really well on Blu-ray.
I think it will do better than we're thinking in general, just because I feel like, the Star Wars craze from Force Awakens is already dying down as we get interested in these other things in the general population. And I think, I still predict that they're going to do just this amazing, strange marketing job of this is not your daddy's Star Wars. So this is going to be this whole new experience, because they have to launch that idea of a kind of Star Wars movie you have never seen. So I think it's for sure going to be top 10, maybe top 5. When I first looked at the question, I was like, of course. But then I remembered all the huge
Civil War.
franchise
Like, not even
movies.
naming any of the other stuff that's coming up.
Doctor
And
Strange,
I think what they,
Star Trek.
that's not Doctor Strange. What you said, I don't think you said it. I think I imagine that you said it.
What I should have said.
What you should have said. The fact that they're doing a December release again, I think, is going to help it too.
Yeah.
Having it be a Christmas movie
yeah.
with families coming out, that's really going to help.
I say the opposite, because with Episode 7, the fact that it was at the end of the year, December was the cutoff, so they only had 3 weeks to be what Jurassic World did for the entire year. So it's going to be a similar situation.
That's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
And if this is going to be a smaller movie, it's going to do a lot of money the first couple of weeks, but it's going to be the subsequent weeks of the multiple viewings and the people going, okay,
the word of mouth and all that.
Yeah.
I had not even thought about that.
It'll take a couple of weeks.
I didn't know they cut off.
Yeah.
I mean, if
what it makes.
instead of the year.
Yeah.
So
that's unfair.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We don't like
it's a
this
cruel hot
question
dog eating
anymore.
world.
Yeah.
I think we're going to skip the next question
I don't
because
like
we're a little
that,
short
or
on
do you
time,
like
and
Coral College?
we've already
that's a good
pitied
one.
Chewie. That was a Chewie pity related question.
Yeah.
Very good one. Here's a good one from Otto Cobbler. If Rey isn't a Skywalker, do you want another Skywalker to join this new trilogy? We'll start with you, Mike Black.
No.
You're all Skywalkered out?
Well, no. I just if Rey's not going to be a new Skywalker, unless they've hidden like kids or something, Skywalker kids. I guess yes,
Luke
but
Child
for the
Hider.
most part, I'm like, you've already sold me on this as the hero of this trilogy.
So if the Skywalker is just Kylo and Leia and Luke going forward?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool.
That's what I would prefer, actually.
Cool.
I think I'm a little with Mike on this. I mean, because of course I want there to be another Skywalker, but with all the exactly what you said, them building Rey and making us think thoughts about Rey and everything, and then if they choose not to have another Skywalker and Kylo is the last of the Skywalkers, I mean those are incredible stakes. You can't get bigger stakes than that. Is he going to die? On the dark side, or is he going to be brought back over to the good side? That's big stakes.
That really is, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I like that a lot better. I was going to say, there's going to be just like Dave Skywalker in the corner, like, hey guys, like randomly.
No, I like my answer even more.
Just Nerf herder in the corner.
Vote against Dave Skywalker is understandable. Yeah, I'm
against
getting
Dave Skywalker.
I vote against Dave.
I want you.
I really am getting to the point where I, as much as it's not the most exciting solution to the mystery, I hope that Rey is related to Luke.
Yeah.
And is just a straight up Skywalker, because it will make the all of the traditions of the trilogies work really, really well. Mm-hmm. Move on to Pablo Macado. With what franchise TV show universe would you cross over Star Wars? And then he says, in parentheses, I know it will never happen, but it would be really interesting to see Doctor Who crossover with Star Wars. Mark, what do you want to see? Wrestling, anime?
Oh, God, goodness, no. I mean, there probably is some sort of blood sport, action sport that they have in the Star Wars universe, but I don't want to be, oh, look, it's The Rock. No, because he's The Rock. I just got to go classic Star Trek.
Okay.
Like, go straight fantasy to fiction. I would love to see, preferably Next Generation. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
No, why do you pick Next Generation? This is juicy to me.
Picard's just the boss. I love me some Kirk and that whole that whole team was great, but that was the one that I grew up on. So and I think Picard's ideologies could work a little bit with the Jedi Code.
Yeah, it's a lot closer, I would say.
Depending on who you ask, like if you ask Qui-Gon Jinn or Count Dooku or whoever. So I think that whole ideal and the Prime Directive could
Can you
work.
imagine Q meddling in
Oh,
that business?
God, yes, I could.
I really like the idea of like bringing Picard in is like a consultant to the Jedi Council about, using your human emotions and feelings are very good. It's
And in
part
the
of what gives us our
background,
power.
Their C story is Worf and Chewie's budding friendship.
It's like Heroes for Hire.
It really is. I can see them like hanging out together. We're both really strong, and they never let us show it.
Exactly.
They're just like in the gym, just like pumping iron.
Just ripping arms. Let's go to the gym and rip arms out.
And Chewie's unfortunate incident with a bat lift.
Oh yeah.
He just like cuts off part of his beard, like his hair is just like blotchy.
This big bald spot on his chest.
I think we just wrote a great sketch.
I mean, Chewie's unfortunate experience with the Batleth is
Trying
the name of my autobiography.
The subtitle of this episode is Chewbacca pity. Mike.
For me, probably Dukes of Hazzard. Han
I
and Chewie and the Dukes of Hazzard working together.
That's a long hood to slide across for the Millennium Falcon.
Oh really? Yeah.
So is
Just them
Roscoe P.
smuggling
Coltrane, is he Darth?
Him and Boba Fett would work together.
I figured he's like Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Roscoe. And who's Enos?
Just Enos.
Enos is just Enos. And Bob
Enos
Hogg is...
He's that guy who got his arm chopped off with the butt mouth.
But now
I always forget his real name. Ponda Baba.
Yeah.
Now I imagine Jabba the Hutt with Boss Hogg's hat. It's like, you gonna get them that Millennium Falcon boys.
He'd be talking so much more slowly.
Yeah.
And then which outfit can show
He'd have like
more
that,
skin?
that
Daisy
oak
Duke
straw hanging out of his mouth.
or Slave Leia? Which can show more skin?
Oh yeah, well it would be the Medal of Daisy Dukes, right?
Yeah.
Very unfortunate. Audrey, what would you go for?
Well, I wish I was as funny as these last two, but I got all serious about it. Because at first I thought Lord of the Rings because of the good and evil, but I was like, no, it's got to be Dune. And let me tell you why.
Oh, she's got some crap written down.
I'm super
Dune.
stoked about it.
Well, you got your
treatment.
you got your sandworms, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you got your spice.
They can eat hot dogs.
So there's they can. Plenty of
challenge our
spice
peers.
for smuggling. Except it's the best spice. It's the spice of life. And you got the Kwisatz Haderach. I mean, who's like the most powerful Prussian person, and there's no one stronger than him. So he can take on Kylo Ren, and then I'd love to see the Fremen join the Resistance. Can you imagine the Fremen with the Resistance? They would kick ass and take names. And then you can have, and then the Bene Gesserit join with the Fremen and take on the First Order. I mean, I just think that's super rad.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think that's great.
What I think is super rad is that you assume we've all read all these books, and I'm just picturing like Sting and Kylo Ren throwing down, and that's about it.
For a
Which
second.
would be good. Which would be good. And their test, now you just, what I'm going to say is not important because I've read all the books. There's the Gom Jabbar test where he puts his hand in the pain box. Anybody?
Oh yeah. In the box there's pain. I know.
I've been on a date like that.
But I'm just saying that could be a force test.
Oh yeah. That's great. That's great. My pick was what Pablo was talking about was Doctor Who. Doctor Who in Star Wars are probably my two biggest fandoms, and it's strange because Doctor Who has a lot of the exact same themes as Star Wars. It's all about hope and redemption, and the Doctor is always trying to do his best and always wants to think the best of people, just like Luke being like, no, I'm not going to kill my dad, I can save him. That's totally the way the Doctor would be. The problem with mixing the Doctor with any other fiction is he solves things faster than other people. So he just like time travel in and just be like, no. Kylo, he would talk Kylo down. He'd give him a lecture.
Or it'd be like the Battle of Hoth, and he'd just show up with sonic screwdriver. Everything, all the
All the
AT-ATs
just fall down. Yeah. Let me just sonic that real quick. Yeah. His sonic screwdriver could just turn lightsabers off from a distance. Yeah. So the Doctor would solve every Star Wars problem much too quickly. He would just jump back in time and say, let me figure out who your dad is. Turns out your dad is this, and your mom is this.
Just for efficiency's sake, we gotta skip the Doctor.
Yeah, but I would love to see that. All right, so move on to the next one. This one's a good, wacky one. Jessica Beardsley asked, if you had to have one of the following beasts as a pet, which would you choose and why? Now, this goes deep. So the options are the Acklay from Attack of the Clones, and that is the more sort of insect, like with the lizard head and the pointy things that's fighting ObiWan. The Zillo Beast from the Clone Wars. Everybody remember the Zillo Beast?
I do not remember the Zillo Beast.
Zillo Beast is this giant monster that they discover, and then it's basically kind of a King Kong episode where they're trying to contain it. And instead, Palpatine's like, I'm going to test it and torture it and learn how to use its power to be evil and stuff. But it's a giant, like, King Kong kind of story with the big old scary beast with impenetrable scales and whatnot. The Frynok from the Rebels. And those are the little creatures who live in the darkness.
They're scary.
They attack Sabine and Ren in a I believe, a season 1 episode. The Wampa, we all remember the Wampa from Empire Strikes Back, and our new friends, the Rathtar from The Force Awakens. So, Audrey, we'll start with you. Acklay, Zillo Beast, Frynok, Wampa, or Rathtar. Pet time. Which do you go for?
Well, first of all, I think all the choices are terrifying. I'll start with that. And then I guess, I mean, I if I had to choose, I would choose a Wampa. And I have my own set of Audrey rules for this one,
of course you do.
Okay? I'd get the baby Wampa, so it would mark me as the mother. Okay? Then I would declaw it. Okay? And as mothers do. And maybe file down the teeth a little bit.
Nice.
And I would give it its own space, like if you're on you know, where lions, you have a lion reserve or something like. So he'd have his own space, and so then
property.
I'd have a big property, and so then he'd either love me or kill me.
So no claws, no teeth. You basically have a living pillow.
Exactly, a very warm pillow, and I would start feeding him raw meat as a baby. So maybe he can, like, you know, pass over that instinct to want to kill.
Yeah.
Well, teach him to cuddle.
Yes, that's very important with Wampas.
Yeah, your Wampa encountering Luke would have been a very different beginning to Empire Strikes Back. Smack! Can bring you back to my cuddle cave.
My cuddle cave.
Mike, who is your pick?
The Frynok.
Yeah.
Mostly because
they're so scary.
I like the idea of something guarding me while I sleep.
Yeah.
That's just terrifying. You know, just have it hanging above the bed. That'd be great.
Feel nice and safe.
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
I mean, I have to go with the Wampa too, just out of I know more about it than any of these other ones. Like Rathar's, we barely kind of saw and was just tentacles and gross and like they were like
there's a lot of upkeep.
Like mini Sarlacc. You need a bit enough space for it to run around, or a giant tank, or all sorts of stuff. Whereas Wampa, you're like, you know what? I'll just like I'll have a not necessarily reserve, but maybe bit of a cave and try to bring it down to. Like domesticated.
Yeah.
Start domesticating Wampas.
You're going to tame Wampa.
It seems the most domesticatable, if that's a word, of all the creatures.
It is now.
Okay.
I thought Wampa for the same sort of domestication reasons, but then I realized it might need a frigid climate. And I moved to Los Angeles from Minnesota. I'm not moving back to Minnesota just to take care of a Wampa. And then I just thought through what I think the logic of this question is, if you had to have one, which would you choose? So I decided the Zillo Beast, because then I would need a very large home.
It'll give you something to work for.
A gigantic monster. So I think I would automatically get this large, amazing home and just have like the Zillo Beast living in the cliff under my mountaintop home.
And the benefit is you get a kick-ass home. Yeah, basically.
And the Zillo Beast just takes care of itself. It lived under the ground for I think millennia in this episode of the Clone Wars, just taking care of itself. It doesn't need me. I don't need to take the Zillo Beast for walkies.
Yeah, Wampa would need a lot of attention, I feel.
So Zillo Beast would be like a cat. You just kind of open the door and expect to see it back in like 3 days or so.
Yeah, let me know when you're back, Zillo Beast. Yeah. There's the Zillo Beast stuff there. Nice. Okay, this is a great, very short question from Stephen Wheeler. He says, I just want to get thoughts on my terrible title pitch for the next saga film, Episode 8, Temple of Doom. What are our thoughts?
I mean, if we're talking Jedi Temple or Sith Temple...
Yeah.
I mean, terrible illusion. I will say that. But the implications of that, especially with what we saw on Rebels this last week, or the week before, with the Jedi Temple and what we're going to be seeing just moving forward. I mean, everybody knows the implications of it.
Yeah.
We might see some heart ripping. Who knows? But title itself, maybe a little bit of work.
Yeah, Audrey?
This sent me down a very dark path when I was thinking about this last night because it made me think of Pablo's question and crossovers and how I wanted Lord of the Ring, and then it made me think of Lord of the Rings and how when Gandalf is fighting the Balrog and then he falls and he basically falls for an eternity and he emerges as Gandalf the White, no longer Gandalf the Grey. Then I'm like, well, what if Han was actually falling and he's falling for an eternity and he emerges at the Temple of Doom as a better and more keen smuggler and is able to get Kylo back.
Wow.
Han Solo the older.
You went. This is one of the nerdiest things I've ever said. But I mean, there was a comic way back
Welcome
when.
to my brain.
That was impressive. That was awesome. Like we went from Dune to Balrog to Indiana Jones.
Yeah, we fell through most geekdoms. Yeah, if you could throw Sailor Moon in there somewhere, that would be awesome.
I would fail that one, but I've got more in my bag. I mean,
awesome. Mike, what's your gut reaction to this title? Episode 8, Temple of Doom.
Well, it sucks, but that's not his fault.
Short
I think Steven knew that and wanted
sure
to
he
hear
knows.
some feedback on that.
But if it were called Jedi Temple ... of Doom, that I would like.
in there.
Yeah,
I would go for it for ellipsis, just for the pain in the ass it would be for people putting up the marquee.
yeah, and for friends of yours having to say it at the ticket line, one for Jedi Temple of Doom.
It would be great if you had to pause. They wouldn't give you a ticket.
Jedi Temple.
Episode 8, Jedi Temple of Doom. That would be wonderful. I think the movie's going to be very dark, like Temple of Doom, and I think it is going to rip our hearts out metaphorically. So I feel like it does work. It has a little rhythm there.
Child
makes
slavery?
sense.
Are we going to see some child slavery?
What are these next two do you think we should do, Mark?
I like the second one a little bit more.
All right, let's go to that. PJ Morar says, I have no idea if that's if I said your name right, but I had
Maurer.
fun.
Maurer?
I vote
PJ
Maurer.
Maurer. Okay, but I had fun saying it like I was a cat. PJ Maurer. PJ Maurer. TFA Visual Dictionary says in the Starkiller base section that Snoke likes to keep his base mobile. Sorry, that came out sexier than I thought. I like to keep my base mobile. I'm Supreme Leader Snoke. PJ says, do you guys think that this means that Snoke's base will be some kind of massive ship, the likes of which we have yet to see, hopefully not a spherical one, of course, but I think this could make for some new and unique scenarios. Unfortunately, I think it rules out Moraban for sure. Mark, what do you think?
I think it could be a mobile temple.
Mobile Temple of Doom.
Why not? Yeah, why not? If we're
when
bringing
you're
everything
constantly falling for eternity.
through space.
New and unique scenarios.
I mean the image of an imposing ship has been a constant through Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, and we haven't really seen a new version of like a Star Destroyer or a Super Star Destroyer or anything of that nature. So I think it would be cool, but at the same time, you would have to make it that much more interesting. Like if you make it a relic, like a relic ship from the early days, because he's supposedly that much older. Supposedly. So if you see something that's kind of like a hybrid where you see the history of the ship throughout the time that we know it.
Yeah.
It's like starting from maybe before the Clone Wars and then going through the Clone, maybe you see some like faded stripes from the Republic or something, and then moving into like an adjusted design. It's like a piece of crap like the Millennium Falcon, but on a giant Star Destroyer.
Okay,
scale.
giant evil Millennium Falcon. That's pretty cool. Audrey?
I thought the same thing when I first read the question. It's like, well, we really haven't seen any updates on the ship, you know?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see a new ship, and I like that. I'm gonna keep mine short and say I like that.
All right, what do you think, Mike?
I think if you want to scare everyone, you say you have a mobile base. And really, you just have a base.
Does Snoke also have a girlfriend in Canada? Is that,
Yeah,
are you getting that?
that's probably
She watches the base.
that, or he's really into Wi-Fi and he means that it's just a really great mobile hotspot. Like he just,
AT&T had a great deal.
Get Kylo and bring him to my hotspot.
Ooh, it got romantic
It got
again.
good.
we're not going to burn through data here.
Yeah.
It's in his mother's basement too.
So, but
on
what
top of
would
that.
you? So, yeah, what would you? If it's not just a mobile hotspot, what kind of mobile base would you like to see for Snoke?
Nobody has a tank in Star Wars. I think if he had like a big badass tank that just rolled around the planet,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I
That's
would
that
love
way
that.
you could never pinpoint its location on the planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
My pet theory for Snoke, because it's hinted at in some of the books, the idea that there's some Sith artifacts way out there beyond the galaxy we know that Palpatine was maybe interested. I like the idea that Snoke came from somewhere kind of outside of the galaxy that we know, and that's why he has some different ideas about how to use the dark side and all of that. So I would love it if he had some crazy ship that was a really different design because it came from a truly different place.
Like a Klingon bird of prey.
Like a Klingon bird of prey. That's exactly right.
Or
With
I'm
a
gonna
Balrog strap to it.
Or I would say a Goa'uld ship from Stargate. I just had to bring another nerd.
Another poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are
Man.
pretty interesting
Or
ships.
Moya from Farscape. Why not?
Why not? Or he's got a Stargate.
A living ship.
He just has a Stargate.
Or it's a trailer like Jim Rockford had down by the beach.
Rockford, the Snoke Files.
So Audrey is going to bring in every sci-fi thing ever made, and you're going to bring in every show from the 70s to 80s.
Yeah.
Has there been a murder?
Murder She
Yeah,
Wrote.
maybe.
Yeah,
I think
Angela Lansbury's on the ship with us.
Snoke should live in that apartment from Three's Company, shouldn't he? He should just be tripping all the time.
Snoke's Company too.
Nice. We have 2 questions left, but I think we're just going to do the one. Which one should we do, Mark? It's a hard
I picked the
choice.
last one. You picked this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. We're gonna make a Chris Marie sandwich. Chris Marie gave us our first suggestion. We're gonna end with another good funny suggestion question from Chris Marie. Any suggestions for some new insults? I don't think Episode 7's Moof Milker even came close to the classic Nerf Herder. So tell me how you feel about that and any suggestions for a new
I agree.
insults.
You should all know that I'm terrible at the burn. Never been good at the cut down when it was big, especially when it was big in the 80s. So
Your slam journal was empty.
It was, yeah. I am the worst. So all I could come up with is like, you ain't even worth a quarter portion.
Oh no, that's a good slam.
That's actually
You
pretty
think?
good. Yeah.
Okay, well then that's what I can.
Can you
Wow.
for me? Can you say it like Unkar Plot? And in my interpretation of Unkar Plot's voice is though he is always fighting acid reflux.
You ain't even worth a quarter portion.
That's good.
That's his wife. That
That's
sounds
his wife.
just like his wife.
Well, hello, Mrs.
She says that to him when he gets home after
Exactly.
after a day of screwing people over. He comes home and has to listen to that.
Oh my God. Mark, do you agree that Moof Milker is not as good a Nerf
It's
herder?
definitely not as strong, but I mean, we've had years for Nerf herder to permeate
Reign
popular
supreme.
culture.
Yeah.
Seriously, so it'll probably be one of these underground things like death sticks, and that'll find its audience, and then that audience will inherit the Nerf herder crown. I think it's a matter of time for that to go. You know what? We don't get a lot of insults. That'll probably have to do. We'll use it.
Yeah, I think it's how they were presented too. Like Nerf herder was the end of the sentence. You know, it landed hard. And Moof Milker was kind of in the middle of the sentence. Is a nice little drive-by thing. I appreciated it being in there. The best I could think of is a Rathtar hole. Because their mouths are really, really gross.
Yeah, they're super gross.
Yeah, and it sounds like swearing, but it's not quite swearing.
Yeah. So are you saying your face looks like a Rathtar hole?
No, I think you just call people a Rathtar hole. Like, you son of a Rathtar hole. Really, it makes no, like, biological, physical sense.
Right.
But super gross.
I like it.
And Mike, I wanted to save you for last. So do
I
you,
don't have much here.
do you agree with the question? Do you agree with the
What was the
assertion?
question about
Do you
this?
agree with the assertion that Nerf herder is a better insult than Moof Milker? Is the first part of the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the question is, what is it? You got a better insult than Moof Milker?
Maybe Nerf Milker? Would that sounds awful. That sounds like maybe the worst thing you could do in the Star Wars universe.
To milk a Nerf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to drink Nerf milk. That might be the blue milk. There's no Nerf milk.
Moof milk.
Oh my God.
Nerf.
That is indeed disturbing. So that was great. We have a shorter show today, so we didn't get to all of the questions, but you guys are always great at coming up with questions for our Mind Probe segment.
Yeah.
So
That was fun. Super fun.
We'll keep posting
We'll make this
them.
a tradition, too.
Yeah, and we'll do
Maybe quarterly.
You know, hopefully I can come back as a guest to do one of these shows because they're so much fun. I love jumping around from like serious, thoughtful questions like, what is the box office going to be? Oh, you Rathtar hole. So we move on to our final segment, Duel of the Fates. and the awesome music plays. Last week's question was, if you could give a standalone movie to any Star Wars character, who would you want and what would the movie's title be? We had a lot of great suggestions. Audrey, we always like to ask our guests this week, who would you want?
I agree with the Obi-Wan, like I said earlier.
Okay, Obi-Wan.
Definitely,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
should have his own movie.
Yep.
I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Do you have any title ideas for Obi-Wan's movie?
My Obi-Wan and only. No comment.
No, it's good. It's good. I like it. I like it. It needs an ellipsis. I'll have 2 tickets to my Obi-Wan and only.
It's a musical.
Mike, which standalone movie would you
Well,
want?
I think it's pretty obvious. The librarian from the Jedi Archives.
Oh, Jocasta Nu?
Yeah, if anyone deserves a standalone movie, it's her filing things and being pretty sure that everything's where it's supposed to go.
What would the title be of Jocasta Nu's standalone movie?
Stop it. That's
Stop at a librarian's tale.
yeah.
Awesome. There were a ton of great suggestions. There was a lot of suggestions for Revan, but Obi-Wan did indeed win. Mark, do you want to read this comment from Michael Vanderham?
Sure. Michael Vanderham states, the prevailing opinion seems to be in favor of an Obi-Wan movie, and I definitely agree. After all, he is my favorite character. The title would be Hello There, an Obi-Wan Kenobi adventure. It would cover his time between episodes 3 and 4. How could that not be pure gold?
And then Devin Thompson said, Revan, a broken mind. It's very cool. A reasonably well-known and regarded character and would open up the Old Republic time period so we could see Jedi and Sith in their prime. So those were the 2 headliners. Obi-Wan won. And then there were 2 funny suggestions that I wanted to include as well. Do you want to read the next one?
Yeah, Rudin Nilsson, Lando Calrissian, A Scoundrel's Tale. I would love to see Lando smooth talk his way out of trouble and hustle around the galaxy charming ladies and gentlemen to get what he needs and getting paid doing it. An agent for hire, we would see a sexier side of the galaxy with great action and impeccable style. And great capes.
Such a great button. And finally from Renee Carbala, Greedo, the other bounty hunter. A comedy action movie about a bounty hunter who tries so hard but just isn't as good as Boba Fett, with comedy sidekick IG-88.
I like that because they brought IG-88.
Yeah.
Well, why's it got to be comedic?
Yeah, Mark's
Because
offended.
it's
Mark's
IG-88. Come on.
just plain old offended. And this week's question is, if you could see any Star Wars character do stand-up, who would you want to see?
I really love the picture you did for this. It's really silly.
If you're listening on iTunes,
Am I right?
I gave Shruggen Han a mic. It totally looks like he's doing a Seinfeld bit. I mean, what's the deal with blasters? And I want to do this because it's one of my last shows, and I love stand-up and weird questions. And Mike Black, an expert stand-up comedian, is here. So who do you guys think would be the best at doing stand-up? Who would you want to see? Audrey, do you have a thought?
Yes, I'd want to see Zeb from Star Wars Rebels.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd love to see that this as like a side hobby that he was trying out. You know, because he's actually a really funny guy. He's got great timing. And I will say this: great comedy sometimes comes from great tragedy.
Yeah.
You know, and he comes from tragedy, and his jokes can be like, hey, any survivors of Lasan out there? No, didn't think so. Or, anyone know what a jupa is? It's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's really relatable. Yeah.
I think Zeb would be
Really
great.
relatable. Matt's genocide. Yeah. Super relatable.
Got to bring your audience in somehow.
Yeah.
We've all had our entire population wiped out, right?
Yeah, and so,
be a good show.
all these dive bars that are full of people that hate the Empire. So
Yeah.
they're gonna love it.
But no, then I just imagine people just sitting at the bar, just
I know, which is Zeb's crowd.
maybe an occasional.
Yeah. Zeb doesn't care. Zeb is not. He doesn't care. Zeb is doing it for himself.
Well, he'll have like a notebook, and he's like, "Oh, that one didn't work."
I
And
think
he
it's
just
more
hops
of
to
a
that
prop
one.
comic type.
Who do you got, Mark?
Speaking of self-deprecating, gotta be Dengar. I imagine him as like a Louis C.K. type where he talks about how terrible his life is.
Oh yeah.
I think he could be pretty funny. I think it'd be
Right.
great.
And who'd want to have sex with this? Like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's the Rodney Dangerfield of the galaxy.
No respect.
Nothing goes right.
Nothing goes right for old Dengar. I'm gonna save Mike for last again. I picked General Leia. Not Princess Leia, but General Leia. I think
okay.
she's the one who would be legitimately the best at it because she has sharp, dry wit, she has great timing, and she has that mix of sort of using a joke knowingly And then also, sometimes when she's joking, she means it. She effing means it, when she says, get out of my way. Get this walking carpet out of my way. There's lots of mean barbs, So I think she would be great, really dry, nasty, insightful wit from General Leia.
Yeah.
Dry and nasty.
Yeah, I think for I think for me, after doing stand-up so long, what I enjoy now is I enjoy watching really good stand-up, but I really enjoy watching someone bomb and how they take it and how they deal with it.
Yeah, how they
so
spin
the
it.
guy that I want to see do stand-up the most is Salacious Crumb.
Oh, wow.
If it goes wrong, he's going to gouge someone's eye out in the front row and laugh while he's doing it. And everyone's going to be, is this part of the show? What's going on? What are we?
And he seems like the type of guy who would laugh at his own jokes.
Yes.
just to
Oh,
try to
absolutely.
get
Yeah.
I've started.
He seems like he would
Nobody?
be.
Damn it.
He would be entertaining in all the wrong ways as a stand-up.
Oh yeah, I love that that comedian
Sally
who fills the energy when it's not going well by laughing at their own jokes. You're
Yes.
completely right, Mark. It would just
Totally.
be unnerving, psychotic, Salacious Crumb
that's
laughing
brilliant.
the whole time. So as always, we will post this tomorrow on our Facebook page on Jedi Alliance. So come visit us on Facebook. I am so curious. You guys out there do such a great job at giving us not only answers but your reasoning behind them, and I'm looking forward to seeing who you want to hear do Star Wars stand-up. You guys have any final thoughts on any of the myriad of subjects that we have covered before we wrap up?
No, except that I had a fantastic time.
Oh,
It
okay.
was super fun.
Yeah, this is a really, really fun episode. Thank you,
I
Audrey.
haven't laughed that hard in a while.
Mike, you have anything?
Oh, no, I had a really fun time, too.
Awesome.
Dang it.
Awesome. Dang it. All right, so let's go ahead and share any social media presence and any projects that coming up specifically you want to plug, Audrey?
Yes, Twitter at Audrey Kearns, Kearns, and Instagram at Audrey Kearns _. And I have a new episode of my podcast, Kneel Before Odd, coming out on Wednesday. So please check that out. And please take some time and visit geekgirlauthority.com. Thank you.
Nice. Mike?
Everything at Mike Black Attack.
Everything's there.
Simple, to
Nice.
the point.
Mark?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. A lot of stuff happening at both Popcorn Talk and our sister site, AfterBuzz TV. Make sure to follow me. We got a lot of stuff. If you're a wrestling fan, we got WrestleMania coming up, and we're planning a lot of programming for that. And also, make sure to follow the John Roca. He's going to be that's not true. His name is the Roca Says. That's his Twitter. I'm a fool. Follow him. We're going to be taking the show on a very fun journey. And I would just like to thank Joseph for being the rock.
Oh, thank you.
That has held this show together, and we're gonna blow apart and see what happens. We're gonna get into the fringe stuff, and it's gonna be a good time. Joseph,
Awesome.
you're an amazing
Awesome.
human being.
Well, thank you,
for
Mark.
joining us.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to being back next week for our big transitional episode and
fun.
being here with you and Mr. John Roca. You guys can find me on all the social medias as at Joseph Scrimshaw. I have a couple things to plug. If you're local to Los Angeles this Wednesday, I'm doing the stand-up show, The Meltdown with Jonah and Kamel. Please come out because it's all me and super famous people like John Mulaney and Scott Thompson from The Kids in the Hall, and then me. So it'll be great. It'll be a really good show. That show is always awesome and experimental and weird. If you are in Las Vegas, I'll be at Wizard World Convention. I'm doing some stand-up, and I'm doing a couple panels with the other former host of Jedi Alliance, Ken Knapsack. So come check us out there. And like I said, if you want to hear me keep talking Star Wars, you can find me at Force Center Podcast. Thank you for watching and or listening to Jedi Alliance. You can visit popcorntalknetwork.com to find a nice list of all the past episodes of Jedi Alliance and links to both YouTube and iTunes. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Jedi Alliance for all the us-related news. This has been Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies. Thank you for listening, because many Bothans and Nerf milkers died to bring us this information.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Whitworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only.